Hey there, and welcome to your personalized deep dive. Today, we're diving into something I know you're really interested in, anti-aging strategies. We've got this fascinating book here, Defying Aging, Science-Based Strategies for a Longer, Healthier Life. And we're going to unpack some of the key takeaways just for you.
It's not about, chasing immortality or anything like that. This book really digs into the science of aging, and helps us make informed choices, hopefully for a healthier, more vibrant life as we get older.
Right, exactly. It's about understanding what's actually going on in our bodies and then what we can do to kind of support that process. And the book starts with a really interesting concept. It calls the cell the, quote, king of aging. So help me out here. What's the connection between our cells and getting older?
Okay, well, imagine this. You've got these protective caps on the ends of your shoelaces, right? Those little plastic bits that stop the laces from fraying. Those are kind of like telomeres. Telomeres are these protective caps on our chromosomes, the things that hold our DNA.
Okay, so our DNA has these little protective caps. What happens to them as we age?
Well, every time our cells divide, which they do constantly throughout our lives, those telomeres get a little bit shorter. It's like those caps getting worn down over time. Eventually, they get so short that the cell either stops dividing altogether, we call that becoming senescent, or just dies.
So it's like the cells just wear out.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But then the book talks about how identical twins who share the same genes often have different lifespans. If it's all about our cells, should they age at the same rate?
That's where it gets really interesting. You see, while our genes provide that basic blueprint for life, they're not the be-all and end-all. Think of it like this. You and your twin are dealt the same hand of cards. Those are your genes. But how you play that hand, the choices you make, the environment you live in, that's what determines the outcome of the game.
So even with the same genes, our lifestyle choices can actually influence how we age. And if
Exactly. And there's a fascinating field called epigenetics that delves into this. Basically, it's the study of how our environment and lifestyle choices can actually switch certain genes on or off, influencing how our bodies age. It's like having a control panel for our genes that's influenced by our everyday decisions.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not all pre-programmed. We have some say in the matter. The book is an example of a man named Jim, who's in his 60s but looks and feels decades younger. They attribute it to his incredibly healthy lifestyle. Is this what they're talking about? Are his good habits actually influencing his genes?
That's a great example. Jim's story, it isn't just some random anecdote. Studies actually show that lifestyle choices directly impact things like mitochondrial biogenesis. You see, mitochondria are like these tiny powerhouses inside our cells, providing energy for everything we do.
Okay, so we have these little energy generators in our cells. What happens to them as we age?
As we get older, our mitochondria, they don't function as well. They're like any machine, they wear down over time. This leads to less energy production, which
Yeah.
can contribute to, fatigue and other age-related issues.
So how does this mitochondrial biogenesis play into this? Is it like making new energy powerhouses for our cells?
You got it. And Jim's dedication to exercise, a healthy diet, and stress management, it all likely plays a big part in stimulating his body to create new mitochondria. It's like he's constantly upgrading his cellular power grid.
That's so cool. So it's not like we're stuck with the mitochondria we're born with. We can actually improve their function. This is encouraging news.
Absolutely. It really highlights how we have more control over our aging process than we might think. But it's not just about what's happening inside our cells. The environment surrounding those cells matters too. The book then goes into inflammation and oxidative stress. Have you ever woken up feeling stiff and achy?
Oh, all the time, especially after a good workout.
Well, that stiffness you feel, that's inflammation. It's totally natural. It's actually your body's way of healing and repairing itself. However, when inflammation becomes chronic, it's like having a low-level fire constantly burning inside your body. And that can damage cells and tissues over time, which contributes to faster aging.
Okay, so chronic inflammation, that's what we want to avoid.
Yeah.
I'm guessing oxidative stress is another one of those things that speeds up the aging process.
You got it. Think of oxidative stress like this. Imagine a bunch of rowdy teenagers going wild inside your cells, breaking things, causing chaos. Those troublemakers are free radicals, unstable molecules that damage our cells. And our bodies actually have these amazing built-in cleanup crews called antioxidants. They're like, the chaperones, the responsible ones at the teenage party, neutralizing those free radicals before they can really cause too much damage.
So it's a constant battle then between the troublemakers and the cleanup crew. Where does our diet come into play here? The book really emphasizes the importance of what we eat for combating this oxidative stress and inflammation.
Absolutely, because what you eat can either fuel the fire or help put it out. A diet full of processed foods, sugary drinks, and unhealthy fats. That's like giving those rowdy teenagers a whole bunch of sugar and energy drinks.
Hmm.
Chaos is sure to follow.
And I'm guessing a diet rich in, fruits, vegetables, those antioxidants, that's like giving the cleanup crew all the resources they need to maintain order.
Exactly. Those colorful fruits and veggies, they're packed with antioxidants, which help neutralize those free radicals. The
Mm.
book specifically mentions the Mediterranean diet as kind of a shining example of an eating pattern that's been linked to longevity.
Right, the Mediterranean diet, lots of fresh produce, olive oil, fish. It's interesting how this way of eating keeps coming up in these discussions about health and longevity.
It's not just about the individual foods, though. It's really about the overall dietary pattern, I think, and the lifestyle. Like the Mediterranean approach emphasizes whole foods, cooked at home, enjoyed with friends and family. It's a very holistic approach to eating and living.
And speaking of a holistic approach, the book also delves into caloric restriction, which always seems to spark curiosity and debate.
Hmm.
Is this really about starving yourself to live longer?
Well, that's a common misconception for sure. It's not about deprivation. It's more about kind of optimizing your calorie intake. Studies, especially those done on mice, have shown that reducing calorie intake without sacrificing essential nutrients, of course, can lead to a longer lifespan.
So it's like finding that sweet spot, enough calories to thrive, but not so many that our bodies are on overdrive all the time.
Exactly. And keep in mind, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It requires careful planning and should always be done under the guidance of a healthcare professional to avoid any nutrient deficiencies.
Right, you don't want to trade a few extra years for a miserable existence in the present. Okay, so we've talked about what we eat, but what about how we move our bodies? We all know exercise is good for us, but how does it factor into defying aging?
You can think of it this way. Exercise is like a really powerful tool. Used correctly, it can strengthen our bodies and help us age gracefully. But like any tool, overdoing it or using the wrong techniques can actually do more harm than good.
So it's about finding that right balance then, and the right type of exercise too.
Exactly. As we age, we naturally start to lose muscle mass and bone density. So it's really crucial to focus on activities that support those areas. Strength training, weight-bearing exercises. Even something as simple as walking can make a big difference.
And it's never too late to start, right?
Absolutely not. Even if you haven't been active your whole life, just incorporating regular movement into your routine can have significant benefits for both your physical and mental health.
Speaking of mental health, the book emphasizes this too, right? It's not just about our physical bodies, our minds age as well.
Absolutely. Mental and emotional well-being are absolutely crucial for aging gracefully. Chronic stress, for example, can wreak havoc on both our mental and physical health, ultimately accelerating the aging process.
Yeah, it's like when I'm stressed out, I don't sleep well, I crave unhealthy foods, and I don't feel my best.
Yeah. Exactly. That's your body on stress. Managing stress through things like mindfulness, meditation, or even just, spending time doing activities you enjoy. These things aren't just indulgences, they're real investments in your health and longevity.
This deep dive has been full of aha moments already. Another one for me was the importance of sleep. Tell me more about why sleep is so crucial for defying aging.
Well, you can think of sleep as your body's nightly reset button. It's when your cells repair and regenerate, your muscles rebuild, and your brain kind of clears out waste products.
So if we skimp on sleep, we're basically hitting the snooze button on all of those essential repair processes.
Precisely. Chronic sleep deprivation, it's like skipping those essential tune-ups for your car. Eventually, things start to break down. And it's not just about the quantity of sleep either. It's the quality, too.
All right, tossing and turning all night isn't doing us any favors either. Okay, so quality sleep non-negotiable for aging well. And then there was another fascinating point in the book about how our social connections, our relationships, they actually play a role in longevity too.
Oh, absolutely. The book highlights these blue zones and these regions around the world where people live exceptionally long and healthy lives.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Sardinia, Okinawa, places where people seem to have, cracked the code on longevity. What's their secret?
Well, one common thread among these communities is their strong social bonds. They prioritize, close-knit families, active social lives, a sense of community and belonging, things like that.
So it's not just about what we eat or how much we exercise. It's also about the company we keep.
Exactly. Studies have shown that loneliness and social isolation can be as detrimental to your health as smoking.
Wow. I knew social connection was important,
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it had such a powerful impact on our lifespan.
It really does. We are social creatures by nature, and those connections really do play a vital role in our overall well-being.
Yeah, it's like we're wired for connection. So much of this deep dive has been about the things we can do, to support healthy aging, eating well, moving our bodies, managing stress, sleeping well, and nurturing those vital social connections. But what about the cutting edge of anti-aging research? The book touches on some really exciting advancements like stem cell therapy and gene therapy. Can you tell us more about those?
They do. They really do sound like something out of a science fiction movie, don't they? But the science behind them is actually moving incredibly fast. With stem cell therapy, imagine having the ability to repair or even replace damaged tissues and organs. Think, worn out heart cells being regenerated,
Oh,
or aging joints being rejuvenated. That's the kind of potential we're talking about.
wow. It's like giving our bodies the tools to heal and regenerate themselves in ways that, we never even thought possible. What about gene therapy? How does that factor into the anti-aging equation?
Gene therapy is more like, I guess, going into the source code of our cells, our genes, and making very targeted changes. Remember those aging genes we were talking about earlier? Well, scientists are actually exploring ways to directly manipulate those genes, potentially slowing down or even reversing certain aspects of the aging process.
So instead of just playing the hand we're dealt genetically,
Hmm.
we can actually change the cards. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It really is a rapidly evolving field,
Yeah.
and there's still a lot we don't know. But the possibilities are, well, they're incredibly exciting. And there's another area of research that's generating a lot of buzz right now, too: senolytics.
Xenolytics. Okay, now that definitely sounds like something from a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? But it's based on a fascinating principle. Remember those senescent cells we talked about, the ones that stop dividing and start causing trouble as we age? Well, senolytics are drugs that specifically target and eliminate those senescent cells from the body.
So it's like a targeted cleanup mission for our cells, getting rid of the troublemakers to create a healthier environment for the rest of our cells.
Exactly. It's like clearing out the dead wood to make room for new growth. And early studies, particularly in animals, have shown that senolytics can actually improve physical function, reduce inflammation, and even extend lifespan.
That's incredible. It sounds very promising.
Mhm.
Are there any human trials underway?
There are. Several clinical trials are currently investigating the potential of senolytics in humans. So we'll definitely be watching closely to see how those results unfold. And it's not just about new drugs and therapies either. Artificial intelligence is also starting to play a role in this field of anti-aging.
AI.
Mm.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of AI as being connected to aging. How does that work?
Well, AI is amazing at analyzing massive amounts of data, right? And we're talking, genetic information, lifestyle factors, medical records, all sorts of data that can be crunched to identify patterns and potentially predict individual aging trajectories.
So it's like having a personalized crystal ball then
Yeah.
for our health and longevity.
In a way, yes. With that kind of predictive power, we can start tailoring interventions much more precisely and making more informed choices to really optimize our health span. And that means not just how long we live, but how well we live, too.
Right. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? It's amazing to think about how technology is really changing our understanding of aging and opening up all these new possibilities. But with all these exciting developments on the horizon, it's important to remember that there's no magic bullet here, right?
Absolutely. Aging is a complex process. There's no single pill or therapy that will suddenly make us, eternally young.
So what's the key takeaway then for our listener? What's the most important message that we want to leave them with?
I think the most important message is simply this: defying aging, living a longer, healthier, more vibrant life. It's about taking a proactive, holistic approach.
It's about making informed choices about our diet, how we move our bodies, how we manage stress, the importance of sleep, and, of course, nurturing those vital social connections.
Exactly. It's about adding life to our years, not just years to our life. It's about recognizing that aging is a natural part of life and embracing it as a journey of growth and discovery.
That's a wonderful way to think about it. So as we wrap up this deep dive into defying aging, what's the one thing you hope our listener will kind of take to heart and maybe even implement in their own life?
I'd say this: start small, start today. Don't wait for, the perfect moment
Yeah.
or the next big scientific breakthrough. Make one positive change today, whether it's incorporating more leafy greens into your diet, going for a walk in nature, or even just reaching out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Every small step counts.
That's great advice. Small changes, made consistently over time, can have a really profound impact on our health and longevity.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Talk to your healthcare provider, connect with a community of, like-minded individuals, keep learning and keep exploring. The world of anti-aging is constantly evolving, and the more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to make choices that really support your health and longevity.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into the fascinating world of defying aging. I hope you found this exploration as insightful and empowering as I did. Remember, the journey to a longer, healthier, more vibrant life, it all starts with a single step. So
Right.
what will your first step be?